Hello friends and astrology lovers. This is a video for June of the year 2025. June is a very significant month because it brings a lot of events in the cardinal signs. First of all, Jupiter, Saturn and Neptune are in the cardinal signs, but also the Sun and some smaller planets. And this means that things are starting to happen that can really change the situation in the world, but also in ourselves. Namely, the cardinal signs Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn are the signs that mark the main axis on which we see the relationship between the Sun and the planet Earth. And all events in these signs move life in the world. However, what we have already said in many videos for the year 2025 also applies now. And that is that only after the February 2026 we will see some concrete changes. Now this is like sort of preparation that is going backwards after. So the full moon is going to happen in Sagittarius on the 11th of June, and the new moon is happening in the sign of Cancer on the 25th of June. Sun is until the 21st in Gemini, then is in Cancer, or better to say Crab. Mercury is until the 8th in Gemini, until the 26th is in Cancer, and then it's in Leo. Venus is until the 6th in Aries, then in Taurus. Mars is until the 17th in Leo, then in Virgo. Jupiter until the 9th in Gemini, and then after that in the sign of Crab. Saturn is in Aries, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Aries, Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. June begins with the so-called lucky aspects of Venus and Jupiter, and further aspects between Mercury and Mars. They take place on the June 4th and the 5th. They are important for everyone, although for a short time, these are only a few days, but they can be good for Aries, Gemini and Leo people. These are the days for starting new activities. However, the most significant day at the beginning of the month is June the 8th, when the conjunction between Mercury and Jupiter takes place. Already on June the 9th, Mercury moves into the sign of the Crab, and June the 10th, Jupiter moves in the sign of Crab, so there are changes happening now in the second decade of the month. But let's say something about the conjunction of Mercury and Jupiter that occurs at the last degrees of Gemini and represents the crown of the Jupiter's transit through the sign of Gemini. Namely, Jupiter was in Gemini from the end of May 2024 until now, until June 2025. And why is this conjunction important? Well, because Mercury was the ruler of Jupiter while Jupiter was transiting through the sign of Gemini. So Neptune meets with his ruler now. And this conjunction happened on the 29th degree of Gemini, which is semi-bright among ancient astrologers. So it's not that important, but in Jyotish, this is the degree which is symbolized with the image where we see a wolf chasing a sheep. So this can mean chasing a prey, and according to some can mean also intrigues. We must certainly agree that the previous year was marked by all possible intrigues and various attempts for all people in the world. And it now became more clear that these two parts that are in the war now, they don't have a chance to make the agreement. In the last year that was completely clear. So that is why in the coming period there must be a resolution about which someone from a high instance will decide, whether earthly or heavenly heights. I leave up to you to think of that as you wish, but something like that must happen, because Jupiter will be in the sign of Cancer, where it is exalted, therefore it is in the strongest possible position, and Jupiter is that giant in the solar system, Zeus in Greek mythology, the god of thunder, or Saint Ilya among the Serbs, still very much worshipped and accepted by the Orthodox Church. And Indra also in Hinduistic tradition and religion, also the god of thunder. So he is the one who has true power of making decisions. The conjunction of Mercury and Jupiter is significant for spreading true information and dismantling lies. There are many brave people in the world who are working to dismantle the lies we live in, which are designed to destroy and subjugate, humanity in a new way. When these two planets work together and not against each other, true knowledge is available to all. So June 8th is a particularly significant day for Gemini and Virgo. It is ideal for starting something new, for learning, for planning long trips, and what is particularly interesting, for creating some optimistic view of life. This combination of planets also warns about the law and agreements. In principle, it is very good to sign contracts with this combination because there are high chances that these contracts will be really respected. Already on June the 9th, Mercury is in the Cancer sign and immediately makes a square, unfortunately, with Saturn. But we need it, I guess. And also that day Venus is in a square with Pluto and Mercury makes the square to Neptune. So suddenly, after this blessed June the 8th, it comes June the 9th, which is quite problematic. There are still a lot of squares later on, from the 15th to the 23rd, mostly between the sign of Crab and Aries. On those days, Jupiter is first in square with Saturn and then with Neptune, and then Sun makes the same squares, with Saturn and Neptune. I talked about the square of Jupiter and Saturn in my annual video for the year 2025, as well in the shortened version of this video, and it's already on YouTube, so you can find it there. And I will also record a special video about the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which will happen in 2025. But actually, I recorded it. I forgot. I recorded it, soon will be on YouTube. So there are other videos that will explain this, what we are talking here about. But let's say shortly here also what is going on. Well, the most important square is between Jupiter and Saturn now. And since Saturn is in conjunction with Neptune, then Jupiter squares Neptune and Saturn at the same time. So this is happening on June 15th until 18th. And the fact that the Sun repeats square with Saturn and Neptune on 22nd and 23rd confirms that the problem is very big. Squares with Saturn are at the 1st degree of Aries and with Neptune on the 2nd degree of Aries by Jupiter and the Sun. So the 1st degree is warlike, and I talk about the 1st degree in Aries in my video for the year 2025. But the 2nd degree in Aries is harmonic and brings some enjoyment. Therefore, the 1st degree we can say is masculine, the 2nd is feminine. However, neither is in harmony with the planets that are aspecting it. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that there is no solution at the moment for this world. World is in the crisis point, as well as everybody else who has planets on the 1st degrees of the cardinal signs, and things have to be decided from the top, from the above, let's say, but by the mercy of God. In the world, maybe by the help of some people who are in high positions and who are able to make decisions. They are not presidents of the states, of course. They're from higher positions. And what about us? Well, in us, we also will have to rely on that God will help us. The conjunction of Saturn and Neptune has a lot of meaning itself. But let's say here that with this conjunction, it is difficult to collect debts. This is something that now I'm adding. I already recorded the video, but there are many other things that I did not mention in that video. So let's now say something about debts. The trouble is that the debtors are on the run and it is almost impossible to catch them. And on the world level, someone owes somebody a lot. The ordinary people do not know who owns what, to whom, but we know that the whole world has debts. Everybody lives in debts, states and companies and so on. And there is a secret some about this. What is, who needs to return money to whom? But now when things are happening on the cardinal axis, everything can be public. We can learn about this. It is certain that now we will learn a lot about the scams of the century. I mean, if not in June, maybe it will be prepared, then definitely next year. You may remember my video with the title Neptune in Pisces, the Distraction of Old Forms. It is on YouTube, shortened version. We talked about the fact that Pisces represents the end of a cycle and that Neptune can have great destructive power when it is in its own sign, which is the sign of Pisces, where it was for many years before. And we said in that video that Neptune in Pisces is destroying old forms. Because Pisces is like the last sign of the zodiac. We create form, and when we arrive to the point of Pisces, they are dismantled. But now we have Neptune in conjunction with Saturn in Aries, and Aries represents the beginning of a new cycle. So could Neptune in Aries mean the destruction of new forms here? Oh yes, exactly, it is that what it can mean. Even Saturn, that does not feel comfortable in the sign of Aries, can sometimes create some forms, new structures in Aries. But with Neptune there, this will not be allowed. With the exception, we can say, of the days when Saturn is going to be retrograde in Aries. I will speak about that more. That will be a little bit better time. So chances are very high that it will be almost impossible to start or maintain anything new. After all, the squares we mentioned already in this video means tension. So the very square of Saturn and Jupiter means the conflict of the old and the new, tension between them, when the old is no longer valid, but new cannot be created or enthroned. So this is that high crisis. This is that moment. In personal lives, these squares lead to questioning. It is clear that our old image of ourselves is unsustainable. This is especially true for people with planets in the first degrees of cardinal signs, but it is true for everyone else as well. Saturn is the shadow, Neptune delusion or illusion, but Jupiter reveals the truth. So everything that is false and therefore dysfunctional in life comes to the surface now. Internal development must follow external reality. So, if we reject the old misconceptions and quickly start creating something new, just so we wouldn't see the truth about ourselves or our lives, then life will deny us. After all, the same is true on the world level. Jupiter enters in the sign of Crab, so it will be in the strongest possible position, and the truth is getting stronger. So this transit is especially significant for Cancer and Sagittarius because Jupiter is their ruler. It is also significant for all cardinal signs because they will be faced with the personal internal obstacles. But what is quite fine is that Jupiter and Saturn will make trines from October until the end of the year. So that time is the time when conflicts will be overcome, and that's what we are solving now in June or maybe in the summer will be much clearer, and we will really learn a lot about ourselves. On June 24th, the Sun is in conjunction with Jupiter, and that is one of the happiest days of the year. So this conjunction will be especially significant for crabs of the first decade. This is period for them to initiate something new. That day also brings happiness and God blessing to Leos and Sagittarius, but also to everyone else, in a way. Maybe not that strong for everybody else, but also is there. With this conjunction, a fortunate one-year cycle begins. From June 26 to 28, there are many harmonious aspects, so those days will lessen the troubles we described before in this video and that are happening at the beginning of the month. Let's now briefly mention the new transit of Jupiter. So on June the 10th, Jupiter enters the sign of the Crab and will stay there until the June 30th, 2026. I will record a special video for all of the signs of the zodiac for this transit, because this is something so fantastic that everybody wants to hear at least about some, a bit of happiness, coming from one era of life. So Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer every 12 years, and it is one of the wishful transits. Jupiter in this position brings happy family circumstances, emphasizes traditional values, looks after children, opens the issues of harmony and possibly of some changes in real estate, also gives spiritual teachers and things like that. Both on a global and individual level, it can bring many happy events. It can be protection to those in need and understanding for everybody and care. We can also say nourishment. It will be interesting to see what happens to real estate with this transit. Perhaps real estate prices will reach its peak, and therefore it is possible that after this transit, maybe even during the transit, the way of acquiring properties will change. Namely, we know that a change is about to take place and that some so-called new socialism is appearing into this world, and it will be some new social system and political system according to socialist ideas. It will be applied in many parts of the world, not in all, I guess. It will not be that what was socialism before, definitely not, but this is now some sort of end of capitalism. Fortunately, we don't live in fascism as they wanted to create, so some new socialism is coming, and we know that houses prices will be regulated again, as it was sometimes long ago in the socialist countries. But it can be that it will be difficult to acquire private ownership. We will see what they will invent for us, but some change is coming. So, Jupiter in Cancer itself is not the main significant of a real estate. Capricorn, the opposite sign, and Saturn, the ruler of the opposite sign, are about the real estate. But Cancer and Jupiter, especially Jupiter in Cancer, are saying about the home. So it is about that, how we feel, where we do feel at home. It is not about that thinking about selling our properties for money, which is Capricorn and Saturn. But now we see square between that Saturn and Jupiter. So there either will be some world crisis about this real estate, or it's going, the crisis that is happening now is about that because they cannot decide what to do with this matter, because many individuals they have debts to the banks, and banks cannot function as they function now, and many things are happening through the prices of the properties as it started in 2008. And now also I want to say that Jupiter in Cancer will be beneficial to anyone who craves for fame, for success, or who wishes to get knowledge, or maybe is for those who want some more spiritual upliftment. It is fantastic time now to be in monasteries or in ashrams with this transit of Jupiter, and to meditate and to be maybe ruled by people who are more able to see these higher dimensions of life. It's a good time to find guru, because our guru, which is Jupiter, is in the highest position. From June the 7th to July the 5th, Venus is in Taurus, and Venus rules the sign of Taurus. This is a symbol of wealth, and with Jupiter in Cancer, it marks extremely fertile period of the year. When I say fertile, I don't mean that only the nature grows, everything can grow. So all the beauties of the world gain a new dimension. Man's desires spill over into art. and he becomes more aware of his aesthetic needs. The second half of June is ideal for weddings, permanent contracts, and purchases. In general, the female energy now stabilizes into us. Taurus and Libra have the most benefits with this transit because Venus is their ruler. Scorpios are also in direct contact with Venus and Jupiter. June the 11th is the full moon in Sagittarius, and we already said few things about those days, so I'm not going to repeat it again. It is a little challenging time with this full moon. But what is more important for us is that on the 25th of June is the new moon in the sign of Crab. And we described that in that time. We have many nice aspects. But this is something extremely lucky. Why? Because on the new moon that is happening on the 4th degree of the Cancer sign, Jupiter will be in conjunction with the Sun and the Moon. So we can say, bingo! This is extremely fortunate period of the year. And it's also, this combination of Jupiter, Sun and Moon is in the sextile with Mars. So for Crabs and for all people who have planets at the beginning, first 10 degrees of Crabs, this can be the chance of a lifetime. This is very special. It is time for them to follow and accept their visions and nurture them. Otherwise, Jupiter in Cancer represents the care and wisdom of the mother, as we say. And Jupiter can bring them protection that they may be needed all their life. So what they start now will follow them not only the next 6 months, as it is usually with the energy of the new moon, but it will last next 12 years. So be careful what you start in this period. Of course, it works the same for everybody else, just it is really extremely significant for people who are in first decade of Cancer sign. So it will be appropriate to plant a seed of light in ourselves on this new moon itself and let it grow and develop without rush. Just planted it and wait. But I warn you, as always, Jupiter gives us what we believe and not what we want. It does not have anything with wishes. It is about the vision, and we cannot invent that vision. It is in us. So for everyone this can be good, to start something new, meaningful, and develop visions. So try to imagine on this new moon, on that day, the best version of your life. If everything in the world is possible, how would you live? Where would you live? What would you do? What kind of a world would you live in? How would the society in which you would live be organized? What would be interpersonal relations look like in that world? Imagine the world where would you like to live. And further, let's say also that on the 21st of June is the summer solstice, which begins the days of the god Vid in Slavic countries, in Slavic mythology, which was the god of the sight. It was very much celebrated by all the Indo-Europeans actually, and still very much celebrated among Serbs. The celebration started on the 21st of June and finished on the 30th of June. This year with Jupiter in Cancer, this is something extraordinary. It is an energy so powerful that it transcends the limitations of matter and the laws of nature. It is the time of the light that many spiritual schools describe, which appears only for the chosen ones, for those who believe. Yeah, we said Jupiter is about believing. So if you would like, it is a time of miracles. And miracles are the entry of the energy from the higher dimensions into the lower dimensions of existence. Or maybe from the different, we can say not from the higher, but from the different dimensions. This is very important time now for everybody, and during this period when Sun is in its zenith and Jupiter also there together with the Sun on the new moon. We can say everything is possible for those who believe, for those who are clean souls. I talked in some of my videos that God of the sight is that all-seeing eye, which is a symbol that was later used negatively in the sense of control of people. Globalist structures are using it. But this is completely wrong. The sun is a symbol of spreading awareness and knowledge. But not the real physical sun on the sky that we see. Our ancestors actually worshipped the divine creative spark that allows life to be cyclically renewed, and that is represented by the sun only. So if it always happened like that, let's hope that it will be like before, so that the life will be renewed as it was always. And that is all for now that I wanted to say in this video. If you wish, you can order personal consultations with me based on astropsychology, spiritual astrology, and other things that I do. You can find everything on the English version of my site, which is not that rich like my Czech and Serbian version of the site, but maybe you will find there something that you are interested in, and you are very welcome to write and to order any type of consultations. And please, if you like this video, like it and share it with your friends. I wish you very, very, very big happiness. I wish you luck. I wish you clear visions and everything the best in the best part of the year when we worship the sun and the creative energy of the world. And see you soon.